Hi, for this blanket I used Bernat blanket yarn. It's a super bulky 6-weight yarn. In the color smoky green I used just under 3 skeins. I mistakenly said 4 skeins later on in the video, so disregard that. I also used a 10mm crochet hook, and I used an 8mm hook for the border and the joins. In the almond color I only needed 2 skeins. That was mostly for the flower squares and some of the border. And then in the shadow purple, I only needed 2 skeins. I believe I also mistakenly said 2.5 later on in the video, so I just checked and it was right at 2 skeins. I did not need to open up the 3rd skein. So you'll need to make 18 of the green squares and 17 of the flower squares, and it ends up looking to me like a checkerboard. I hope you like this pattern. Let's start on our flower square from our Check Out My Flowers blanket. You're going to need 17 of the flower squares and 18 of the green flat squares. We're going to start with a flower square. The flower will be the Bernat blanket shadow purple. It's very pretty purple. I don't use purple very often, but this is a nice toned down purple. All right, you're going to make a magic circle however you choose to do that. If you don't know how, this is how I make mine. I put the tail in front of my hand and bring the working yarn around back, made an X. If I'm using a lighter weight yarn, I use fewer fingers. Okay, put your hook behind the hook, the first part of the X. Put your hook over the next part of the X. Pull it through. We're going to make a chain with that little circle there. Hold on to it. There's your working yarn. And there's your tail. It's going to always stay over to the left. Oops. Get your working yarn. And we're going to chain 3, which is going to count as our first double crochet. There will be 16 double crochet around this circle. Most important thing to remember in this round is to go, let's see here, we're going to start your double crochet. Go in the circle and also under the tail and make your double crochet. My circle continues to get bigger just the way that I hold it, so I keep, not every time, but I keep bringing my tail around, and as it gets bigger I just pull it a little bit tighter. So now I have 2. That first chain 3 counts as 2. Three, or count it as 1, 2, 3. And just keep going until you have 16 double crochet, including this first chain 3. I keep getting twisted, but that's okay. When you finish up, you're going to want to have this untwisted so that it will pull tightly. So I'm going to continue on until I have 16 double crochet, and I'll join you, and that's where we'll meet up right there. All right, I have my 16 double crochet. I made 15 double crochet because that counted as our first. And I'm going to untwist my tail. I'm going to pull that tightly now. We'll weave that in when we finish this square. Now this is how what I found worked best for joining. This comes off your second double crochet, actually your first double crochet, but we counted this as the first. This comes off your double crochet. looks like the letter P. Oop, and there's the little circle. See? We don't want to go into that. We want to go into this chain. And I don't want to go under both loops because it will bring it to a weird angle. I want to go between this one and this one, but then grab the loop. Let me see if I can find it. I want to grab the loop behind it also. So you are going to have two, not that one, but this one. You are going to have two loops there. And let me show you why. When I bring it around and I join with a slip stitch, it brings that chain to the front, makes it look flatter like the double crochet instead of being sideways like that. Does that make sense? So that's the beginning of your flower, your first round. All right, we are going to go into that very same stitch that we just pulled the slip stitch through. Yarn over, go into that stitch, yarn over, pull through. You have 3 loops on your hook. We're going to pull through 2. Yarn over, go back into that same stitch. We're just double crocheting 2 together. Pull up. You have 4 loops on your hook. Pull through 2, and then pull through all 3. And chain 1. The chain 1 is really important because you're going to go into the chain space with your next round, and that's what's going to give you the petal shape. Okay. Into the top of each double crochet from your previous round, and that's the top of your double crochet. You'll have the 2 loops front and back, and there will be a little bar underneath. Don't go under that because you're going to end up making big holes. So yarn over, make sure you don't skip any double crochets. You should have 16 of these petals when you're done. So go into that space, bring your yarn through, and bring, oops, yarn over, go in, 3 loops, pull through, yarn over, go in, 3 loops, and chain. All right, make sure you have your chain. Again, that's going to give you your space, and it's going to help pull that tight to make more of a petal shape like that. It's getting easier to see where the top of your double crochet is. Just make sure you go right under those 2 loops, and when you get to the end you should have 16 petals. Let's do that one more time. Yarn over, go into the top of that double crochet from the previous round, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You'll have 2 loops there. Yarn over, go back into that same stitch, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You'll have 3 stitches left. Yarn over, pull through all 3, and chain 1. Continue around. It gets a little confusing at the end. That's not the top of a double crochet. You're not going to go into that. This would be your last one, and that will be 16. So as long as you have 16 petals going around, you know you're correct. All right, I will join you when we get back. All right, I've reached my last double crochet. It looks like there's 2 because there's another space here, but that was your original chain. That's the last one. These are 2 double crochet together, and as you can see, It's exactly what it looks like. 2 double crochet together. But instead of just making 2 separate double crochets, it doesn't leave any gaps or holes. All right, this is the last one. You start like a double crochet, then you yarn over, go back into the same space, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through all 3, chain 1, we're going to go into this, the top of your first petal there. Okay, you're going to pull this off. I am keeping a smaller hook nearby to make it easy to pull through and also to weave in my ends because I didn't, it's a little hard for me to do the chunky yarn with a needle. So we're going to come through the back, tighten that up, pull it through, chain 1 because we're gonna cut and fasten off here. But that made it so it's nice and even. You don't have to do it that way. It didn't really slow me down, so I like doing that. Pull it through, nice and tight. Boop. You won't be able to tell the difference. We're going to come through and work over that yarn. You don't have to do it very far because that's not really going anywhere. It's good and snug, but it's nice to be able to work over that yarn. And then we'll be able to cut that. All right, we're going to start with our second color, the almond. Let me pull that in. So this is our almond. It's a light beige, I would say. Showing up a little bit brighter on here than it is in person, at least on my screen. I would come over, I'll go into this one, but this one's going to make it a little easier because you're going to work this tail behind this first petal and then drop it, and we'll weave that one in later, and then you'll be working this tail under. So let's come into this one right here, put your hook in, and remember we're going to go into the spaces. Give yourself a little bit of a tail because we're going to pull it through the chain and we're also going to weave it in. All right, pull that through. The very first chain, go ahead and bring that tail through as well. Let's find the tail. Pull it through. It's just going to help keep it in there. You don't want your squares falling apart. At least I don't. 1, 2. And the reason we're doing 2, we're going to start making this into a square. And the middle of the square will have half double crochets, 3 half double crochets together. Just a little bit of a shorter stitch than the other 2 parts of the side of your square. Those are going to be double crochets. But we're just going to start. This is what worked best for me, to join in at the end. It was kind of seamless. All right, so that was counts as my first, chain 2 counts as my first half double crochet. So another half double and another half double. When you're working, it's going to be a little bit wavy, and that's okay. You can pull on it. I like pulling on it because it enhances that petal. No problem. You can pull on it, yank on it if the stitches are a little loose looking. Oh, you know what? I did not weave in my tail. And it is best if you do that. So let's go back. Chain 2 counts as a half double crochet. I have my tail behind me now. Yarn over. That's what I get for talking so much. Sorry about that. No, not really. I just talk a lot. Okay, 3 half doubles. We're going to drop the tail now. Don't need to. You're going to actually carry that down. All right. When we finish the 4th round and we have a tail, we're going to weave that down here and tie the 2 together. So just leave it hanging there. That's what I did. You don't have to do everything exactly as I do. All right, this is the next part of our first side. 3 double crochet in the very same chain space from your previous round. 1, 2, 3. And I do suggest that you keep a good bit of your yarn pulled out. It helps to keep your stitches even. You're not pulling on it and making some stitches tighter than others. All right, now we're going to work into our first corner. Remember, when we finish up, this one's going to have 3 double crochets to finish out that first side. This is our first corner. We're going to start with 2 double crochet. It's going to get pretty crowded in here. But by not making chains in between the stitches, it doesn't leave any holes. And I liked it like this. If you wanted to, you could do 2 double crochet and chain 2 and 2 double crochet, but I just don't care for that. I need a taller stitch to complete my corner. So it's going to be a treble. So yarn over again. Go back into that same space. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's much taller. Again, you can yank on these. It's very forgiving. Sometimes the loops stick out a little bit. You can just pull on it. All right, 2 more double crochet to finish this corner. You're going to start working this way. This will be our first full side. Oop. Making myself dizzy. All right. There's that corner stitch. Nice and tall. When we come around with our next round, that's where our next corner stitch will go on the top of that tallest stitch, the treble crochet. All right. Now find your next chain space. And we're going to make the first part of our side, which has 3 double crochet. When I make the videos, I try to move my hands out of the way, but it's really hard because I tend to crochet pretty close to the hook. So there's 3 double crochet. The one in the middle is always going to be 3 half double crochet. You could do double crochet if you prefer. I feel like this one's just a little bit shorter and keeps the side from poofing out too much. All right, and the last part of our side will be 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. The more I try to hide my hands, the worse it gets. Okay, now there's your side. Again, pull on it. Don't be afraid to just pull, pull, pull. When you get to the other corners, you can pull the corners apart. See how they're looking like petals now? Isn't that pretty? All right, we're at the next corner. We finished a side. 2 double crochet. 1, 2, and then we need a taller stitch. So 1 treble, yarn over twice, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and that's your taller stitch. And that helps make the corners at the right angle. Okay, another 2 double crochet. All right, you think you have it now? Pull on it. Every side gets 3 double crochet, 3 half double crochet, 3 double crochet, and then the corner gets 2 double crochet, 1 treble crochet, 2 double crochet, and then you're going to do a side again. I will meet you when we finish the first part of this side, 3 double crochet, and we're going to join here at that first chain 2. So I'll join you. I just finished my 4th corner, which was 2 double crochet, 1 treble, 2 double. I have 1 space left, and that's going to be the beginning of the first side, which is 3 double crochet together. 1, 2. I'm all over the place. 3. Now, just like when we joined the first round, you're going to find your chain. It's not this one, because that belongs to your half double. That belongs to your half double. So it's over here, and we're going to work into the side of it so that it'll lay flat and under 2 loops. Bring it through. And we've joined. Now this is where, if I was going to make a mistake, and I'm bound to make a mistake somewhere, I said just keep yanking on those. This is where I would mess up, because I would forget that I had another round to go. There's 4 rounds altogether. The purple gets 2 rounds and the almond gets 2 rounds. But sometimes I got to the end of this round and thought, oh, I'm done. And I actually cut it and fastened off, and then realized, no, I'm not done. I have 1 more round of single crochet. That's just going to pull it together nicely and make it easy to join, or easier. It is easy. All right. So we pulled it through. We're just going to chain 1, and that's going to count as your first single crochet. Okay. So there's your half double, and there's your next half double. Let's come into that with, there you go, a single crochet. Every stitch is going to get a single crochet until we get to that tall corner stitch, the treble crochet. That's going to get a corner. So let's work our way over there. Remember, you're going under these 2 loops and over that bar. It can be really easy to pop into there, but that would not work. Okay, and now we're at this center stitch. Let me count. How many did I do? Count it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And when we get to 9, that's your tall corner stitch. And remember, it looks like a P. And we're going to do 2 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, and 2 single crochet. Again, it gets really crowded in here, but that's what helps you to turn the corner without any holes. There's your corner. And these are the stitches that you'll be working into to join. Okay. I'll make sure you remember after your corner to come into this very first stitch. It's easy that sometimes that hides. It's easy to miss that one. So let's count those stitches till we get to the next corner. 1, 2, 3, 4. There'll be more stitches because this was a half row. 5, 6, 7, oops, 8, 9, 10, 11. I have not mastered looking at the screen and crocheting. I've been doing this for almost 2 years. I don't think I'm going to master it. 12, 13, and this would be 14. And that is your treble, your tallest stitch. You come into this part of it. Remember, it looks like a P. With your corners of 2 single, 1 half double, just to make it a little bit taller in the very corner, and 2 more single. That's what it should be looking like. Again, pull on it to your heart's content. I think it's so pretty. See, I think that's too loopy right there, so I don't know if I can catch it right now, but yeah. It's very easy yarn to work with. Okay, with which to work. Continue on. When you get to, should be 14, single crochet. 14 is there at the tallest corner stitch, and that's where you make your next corner of 2 single crochet, 1 half double, and 2 more single crochet. Go all the way around. I will meet you when we get back here, and we will do an invisible join. All right, I am back. Did my corner, and then I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 single crochet, and I'm meeting up with that first chain. We're gonna finish off, but you could just fasten off if you wanted to, but I like doing, let's see if I have 2 loops here. 1, 2, I want to go in here, yep. I like to make an invisible join, so let's go in here, pull through. Sorry, I was just making sure I was correct. I haven't made one of these in a couple of days. I haven't made a video in a long time. All right, leave yourself tail 3-4 inches, something like that. I always leave it longer than I absolutely have to. Kind of hold on to your stitch as you're pulling that through so it doesn't pull tight. You want to know where this is coming from. You need to be able to come back in here. I'm going to switch over. You could use a needle if you want to. I'm just going to switch over to a smaller hook. Okay. We're actually skipping that chain that counted as a stitch. We're going to come over to this one, go through, I'm going to come back, see where that yarn is coming from. And we're going to pull this through. Hold on to it so it doesn't get too tight. And you've just replaced a stitch, which was that chain. Okay. You haven't lost anything. Now come behind, and however you want to do this, just try to kind of hide it. It's pretty easy to hide the yarn in this burnette blanket. Hold on to your stitch there, otherwise you're gonna make it pucker. I'm trying to come down to this. So let's, yeah, well, let me just do one at a time. Trying to be fancy. It can come on down here and into here. We're going to meet up with this tail. This is just how I did it. You can do it differently. Tie it in a good knot. Clip the ends. Make sure you are just clipping the ends of your knot there. Don't clip your stitches, because that would be horrible. Okay, push that in, hide it. That's not going anywhere. This is the yarn that I worked over, the tail. I could have gone further. I could have gone into the corner with it. Don't have to, because, again, be really, really careful. Where I fastened off, it was a good tight knot. This yarn being kind of fuzzy, I guess you'd call it. It's not silky, so it grabs the yarn really well, and it doesn't fall out. Let's pull that tight. Now find which way it's coming. And all I do, a lot of people come around and then they go back around and they go in and out and in and out. And I probably would if this was a lighter weight yarn, but all I'm going to do is go around maybe to here and pull it. I'm not even going to go in every single stitch. Just pull it through. I feel pretty confident that it's not going anywhere. Just want to hold on to the stitches again so they don't bunch up, pucker. Sometimes you can only grab one. Again, if you want to use a needle, you can. I just chose not to. I think that's good and snug. Good and snug. All right. Again, be extremely careful where you're cutting that. I'd rather leave it too long than cut it too short and risk cutting a stitch. Yeah, pull on it, pull on it. It is not going to look perfectly flat. If you want to, you can put a towel over it and use a steam iron. Don't press real hard. Don't touch the iron to the yarn, and just kind of gently steam it flat. I'm not going to. You can if you want to. It seems to all, as they say, come out in the wash when you wash and dry it. It will be fairly flat. And I really think that even if you press it out, it's just going to be what it's going to be. And I like the way it looks. It ends up looking like a quilt. All right, so you've made one. You need to make 16 more. It goes really fast. Just have the TV on, or music, or an audiobook. And we're going to move on now to the Stormy Green flat square, and we need 18 of those. I'll show you how to make one. Okay, we're going to make our flat squares. You'll need 18 of these. I've already made 17, so saved one to show you how to do it. And this is smoky green, and I think I said stormy green earlier because I have used that color, but this is smoky green. I was really fortunate because I got this at a discount store called Ollie's for $4.99 a skein. That's just unheard of. Hopefully you can find the same. Okay, looking for my hook, sorry. Same thing, I'm going to have a 10 millimeter and then a smaller hook for weaving in the ends. Losing my light here. I had to change my background. This is one of my blankets. It's a baby blanket. I think it's called Sweet and Simple baby blanket. It has a really cute border. I love that border. Anyway, also very simple. It's in my patterns. Okay, let's get started on this flat granny square. It's going to be approximately the same size as the other square, which was, this is our flower square. Should be around 8 inches, somewhere in that vicinity. This one's closer to 9. They don't have to be exactly the same, but similar. You want it to be similar. Okay, make your magic circle however you make it. I put my tail in front, bring my working yarn around and make an X, put my hook behind, and then in front of the next part, pull it through. We're going to chain. I'm just holding on to it so it doesn't fall apart. There's my tail. I want to keep it over here to the left. We're going to make sure we work into the circle and around that tail. That's really, really important, or else it won't tighten up on you. Okay, we're going to chain 1, 2, 3. This is going to count as our first double crochet in corner space. Now we need 3 double crochet. It's going to be the first the first side. Let me not look at the screen. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochet. I'm going into the circle under the tail, and 3. There's my first side. 3 double crochet. My circle keeps getting bigger because of the way that I hold it, so I like to untwist that tail, pull it a little bit tighter, here and there, not all the way. This square is also going to have 4 rounds, same as the flower square, but you're not going to change colors. Okay, there's our first side. Here's our first corner. It's simply chain 2. Another 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3, and a corner, chain 2. Side, corner, another chain 3, or another, I'm sorry, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. And I can feel the tail getting twisted up here, so let's untwist it. You'll want it just coming out the back when you do tighten up, because otherwise it won't pull as tightly as it could. All right, we now have, there's a corner, 1 side, a corner, 2 side, a corner, 3 side. Let's do 1 more corner, chain 2. Now, normally you would make 3 double crochet for a side, but we're counting this as our 3rd double crochet of this row. Excuse me. And the chain for the corner. Normally you would chain 4, but because this yarn is so thick, if you chain 4, this hole would be really, really big. All right, so we're going to do 2 double crochet only. I like making the flat granny squares. I think they're super simple. There's just a couple of things you have to remember that at first don't make that much sense, but they will. All right, because that's our last side, I'm going to go ahead and pull that middle tail tight, and we're going to work into the chain. We're not going to do this. We're not going in that because that's part of our double crochet. There's that, looks like a P. We're not going to go into that first chain. We're going to go into that second one. Not the first one, but the second one, where you would normally pull it over and go under 2 loops. I don't want to do that. I want to keep it flat. And I want to go, it is 2 loops here, but it was behind. Pull on through, slip stitch, and you've completed your square, your very first part of your square. Now you're going to go each and every time that you finish. Now you're going to go into that chain space, pull through, and make another slip stitch. Chain 3. This can get confusing, but once you do it a few times, it makes a lot of sense. This is actually the second double crochet of your corner. You can have 2 double crochet, but when we come all the way back around, we're going to come back into this corner and make a double crochet, and that's going to be the first double crochet of this corner. This is the second double crochet. You're going to join into that in the chain space. So because it's a corner, we still need 2 double crochet. It will make sense once we go all the way around. 1 and 2. There's the beginning of your first corner. Now in this round 2, we're going to go into the top of each of those double crochets from the row before. You have to be very, very careful that it's not hiding. This first one's not hiding. It can hide in that corner really easily. You'll know if your stitch count is off. That's probably what happened. So double crochet into each of those 3. So 1 to the top there, 2, and 3. And remember, it looks like the letter P. You're going into that round part. 3 double crochet. And now you're at the corner again, so you're going into that space with 2 double crochet. This is how everything except the first corner, all the other corners are going to be 2 double crochet. Getting caught up here. Chain 2 and 2 double crochet. Let me get untangled. I pulled out too much yarn. I like to have a lot of yarn available, so I'm not pulling it too snugly, but sometimes it does get tangled up. So 2 double crochet, chain 2, back into that same space there. With another 2 double crochet. And that's the second one. Excuse me. Time to drink some tea. And we have another 3. 1, 2, pull that over so you can see it, 3 double crochet, go into the top of that. It does like to hide. 1, 2, and 3 double crochet. We're back to a corner, 2 double crochet, chain 2, 2 double crochet into that corner space. 1. This yarn is not silky, so it kind of grabs onto itself. 2 and a chain 2, but that's really nice when you weave in your ends because they don't slide out easily. The yarn grabs onto itself. Not a pretty green. It's actually lighter in person. It's more of a, I would say, an olive green. It's not so saturated. I think it's showing up that way because it's against this light pink. All right, so I made my corner. I should have 1, 2, 3. It's hiding there. Pull that over into the top of each double crochet from the previous round. 1, 2, and 3. We're in our last full corner. Remember, we started a corner here. So 2 double crochet, 1, 2, chain 2, and 2 more double crochet to complete your corner. I'm bound and determined to learn how to look at the screen so I can see what you're seeing. Sometimes if I try to look away from the screen, it ends up way down here and you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, we have 3 more. 1, 2, 3. This is the part that might confuse you. And this is the part, if I'm going to mess up at all, I'm going to forget to make my first double crochet of that first corner. But you'll find out. You'll have to go back and fix it. Okay, there's my first double crochet. 1, 2, 3. So pull that over. So you can go into that. 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Time for me to pull some more yarn out. If I don't pull it out so that it's nice and loose, my stitches end up way too tight. Okay, here we are. That's where you started. You had your slip stitch, your chain 3, and then your 2 double crochet. So it's really a corner. That's your very corner. That counted as a double crochet, but we need the first double crochet of that corner. So we're going to actually come back into this same space from the previous round, all the way down there. It seems weird when you first do it, but it's the only way that it works. And the reason I like doing it this way is it keeps your square nice and straight. Okay, so in order to join, not this chain because for that stitch, because that goes with your double crochet, not that one because that's going to be your chain space, but this one. And remember, I want to actually go into, I don't want to go up here, I want to go into here because it underneath 2 loops. It helps to flatten that chain out and make it look more like a double crochet. And now you have to go back into that corner and make another slip stitch. There's your first corner. And we're going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. We're going to start our corner. You're going to have to remember when you come back to make your first double crochet right there. But I'll show you. I'm going to be with you. Same as the other one, just going to pull on it. Straighten it out as you go. We're going to make our other 2 double crochet. Now, because each corner, hang on, in the row has 2 double crochet at the beginning. That was from below. 2 double crochet and 2 double crochet from your corner, plus the 3 double crochet that we worked into the previous round. So you have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now you have 7 stitches to work into, double crochets to work into. Remember to pull this over. Always find your first one, which is actually part of your corner from below. So you're going to have 7 double crochet until you get to the corner. Remember, if I go too slowly, let's fast forward it. If I'm going too fast, pause it. If you don't like to hear all my talking, put it on mute. If I'm hard to understand, you can go to the captions, them in whatever language you prefer. Okay, we have 7. There was my corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I've reached my next corner. Okay, you're going to continue to do that. Every corner gets 2 double crochet, just like the previous round. Chain 2, 2 double crochet. The only thing that's different, instead of having 3 double crochet to work into from the previous round, we have 7. There's your first one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then another corner. So keep going around, and I'll meet you when we get back to this first partial corner. That's right. I made my 7 double crochet in my last row. Now I need to remember to come down here and make my double crochet, which is the first double crochet, the corner, so that I can complete this corner. And to join, don't come into your double crochet, don't come into that first chain, come into that second chain. Right in here and under 2 loops. Okay, and slip stitch. Now we have one more round. I also got really excited with one of them and fastened off at this point and realized I wasn't quite finished. It was a little bit small. So go back into the corner, slip stitch again. And this time we're only going to chain 2. That's going to count as a single crochet and a chain. We're going to come into here with 2 single crochet. This is a single crochet round, just like the last round of the flower square is all single crochet. It's going to help you to join. Now, where we had 7, let's find our 2 corner pieces. We had 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're adding 8, 9, 10, 11. So now you have 11 stitches to work into for this round before you get to a corner. So you're adding 4 stitches every round. If you kept going, you'd have 15 stitches for the next round. All right, so I made my 2 single crochet, and now I want to go and make my 11 single crochet for this side. 4th round, this is your last round of your flat granny square for the check out my flowers blanket. It looks kind of like a checkerboard when you're finished. Not exactly, but that's what it reminded me of. Check out my flowers. All right, so that's 11. Gather up some more yarn. I'm using this blanket as a background because the desk itself has some painting of flowers and birds, and some people find it distracting. All right, we've reached a corner. We're going to do 2 single crochet, a chain 1, and 2 single crochet. And that's your corner. And again, we'll have 11 stitches to work into till you get to this corner. Same as the previous rounds, make sure that you're reaching that very first stitch. If your stitch count is off, that's probably what happened. So continue on. 11 single crochet, get to your corner, 2 single crochet, 1 chain, 2 single crochet all in the same corner. And then 11 single crochet, then your corner stitch. And I will meet you when we get back to that first partial corner. All right, I'm back to the beginning where I had a partial corner. I have my 2 single crochet. There's my corner because I started with the chain of 2. I'm going to come into this one when I join, but here's where I generally forget. It's the very last round. You're ready to join and be done. But remember, we haven't made that very first single crochet of the first corner. And you'll need that or it won't be a square. So don't go into the single crochet, the top of the single crochet. Don't go into this chain. You want to go into the next one, right there. And I want to go right into the bottom of it. And I want to come through with another slip stitch, just like we did in all the previous rounds. Now, we're going to cut and leave yourself a few inches. Better to have too much than not enough. We're going to do an invisible join. We did that on the last round of the flower square as well. All this does is make sure that if I just chained 1 and fastened off, you're actually ending up missing a stitch, or it would be harder to join together. So all we're going to do is mimic this. We're going to replace this stitch with another one. So bring your either your hook or your needle under there. Bring your yarn through. Loosen this up so that you don't lose where that yarn is coming from. I'm going to loosen it up some more. My yarn is coming right out of that stitch. That. I've come around here, so I need to come into the middle of this stitch where that yarn is coming through. And I'm going to bring my yarn through. Be careful, hold on to that stitch. Hang on. Trying to do this again without looking. It's not that easy. 1, 2, 3. Yep. So keep that a little bit loose. Make it about the same size as the others. This one as well. And you're going to turn it around. I want to bring it down here. Hold on to the top so you don't get a big pucker there. There. Now, if you want to go back and forth, you can. I'm just going to go through these tunnels for a bit. And I'm going to work my way down. Do some more tunnels, otherwise known as stitches. That's good enough for me. You can do more if you want. You can go back and forth. You can go back this way. I'm not going to. All right, cut it close enough, but not too close to the stitch. You can always just pull it in. Okay, and same as the flower square. Find which way this is coming through. It's your tail from your original magic circle or magic ring, however, whatever you call it. Pull it through. Yep. Cooperate. Pull it through. Tighten that up a little bit. That got a little bit loose there. Loosey goosey. It's getting ready to storm here, so it's getting a little, I'm losing my light. Should start hearing my dogs whine pretty soon. They're big scaredy cats. They are large. They're Black Russian Terriers. They're large dogs, but they are very afraid of thunder. All right. Cut your tail. I need to look at that. There. And kind of pull on it, stretch it. If you see any loops that look particularly loose, just pull on them from the back. Now you've made one, you need 17 more. After you've made all your squares, I will meet you and show you how I chose to join mine. There are many, many ways you can join. Lots and lots of different videos online on how to join squares if you'd rather do that. That's really not my area of expertise. Not that any is. I'm not a professional. I just like to crochet and enjoy showing other people what I've made and how I made it. All right, I'll be back when I join this. All right, I just wanted to show you that my squares are pretty much the same size. A little over 8 inches, 8.5, somewhere in that vicinity. And even if this stitch count is not exactly the same. Don't worry about it, because when you join, you can always skip a stitch or go into a stitch twice. It's very forgiving. All right, so let's join these. I'm going to use purple to join because it was the only color that I had that would be different than my two joined squares. You could join with almond if you want to, but it would only show up on the green. And the same if you do green, it would only show up on the almond. So I thought this would be a good color to join with, and it brings in the flower. I just like it. All right, we're going to start in the corner. And I am going to go with a smaller hook. I need to go find my 8mm hook. Okay, I'm going to join with just a really simple slip stitch join in the, I guess you would call those the front loops, the ones that are closest to the middle. Now let's match them up. Like I said, if they're not exactly the same amount of stitches, when you get to the top, you can skip a stitch on one side or put 2 stitches on the other side, and that'll work out just fine. So find your corner. Pull that stitch down. Trying to figure out where my corner is here. Here, I'm trying. Do I want? Yeah, this one. And come through the corner of the other one. Stitch that's closest to the middle. And that looks like that's going to line them up pretty well. Now, let's make a slip knot with the purple and bring it through both. Okay. And we're going to pull through here, and that's going to count as our first slip stitch. Now just go into one from the top. Make sure you're finding the loop that's at the back or towards the middle. Keep your working yarn behind you. Pull through that loop, pull through that loop, and pull through the purple for a slip stitch. Keep your stitches pretty loose. And again, the stitch that's closest to the middle. Already used that one, so we're going to go into this one. Right there. In from the top. Whoops, keep your yarn behind you. Do as I say, not as I do. All right, pull through that loop, pull through that loop, and pull through that loop, and that's your slip stitch. I wanted it to look something like a quilt, and the stitches on a quilt show up. You want them to. That's what makes it look homemade. Find the next stitch. Make sure you're not going into the same one, unless you get closer to the top and you have to make up for a different number of stitches. It does help to keep the stitches somewhat loose. A little harder with this yarn because it grabs onto itself. It's kind of like a chenille, or I guess it is a chenille, I'm not sure. All right, keep that yarn behind you. Behind your hook, not behind you. There you go, into the loop that's closest to the middle from the top. Pull through there, pull through there. It's actually easier if you're just working with this in your lap. I'm just working with it on the desk so that I can make a video of it. So this is how it's going to end up. And through there. I usually make a zigzag join, which I actually really love. However, it seemed to be a little bit heavy for this one, and I kind of wanted it to look like stitches on a quilt. So keep going. I'll meet you when we reach the top and we can jump over to join the next two squares. All right, I decided to pull the whole thing down into my lap so I could show you. I was having a hard time putting it together on the desk. Come in from the top into that stitch that's closest to the middle, keeping your working yarn behind you. Pull it through all 3 loops, and that helps keep it much more even. You can see what you're doing. If you need to tighten up your stitch or loosen up your stitch, you can do it a lot more easily. Like I said, this is normally how I would crochet, having it down in my lap. It's just easier to set up the camera at the desk. All right, so continue on. Pull and tug as you need to. And that's how your join is going to look. I'm also going to do the border in purple. When you get up to join your next 2, I'll show you when I get there. All right, when you get to the top, get your next 2 squares. Make sure they're facing the correct way. There's an obvious front and a back to both of them. And make sure you have the opposite square, flower on top, flower next to flat square. And find your corners. We're just going to hop on over. Keeping that yarn behind you. And we're going to join all the way up. When you come across this way, you're just going to hop on over this join and continue on. So you want to make sure you do all one way first, so that when you come the other way and you hop over, it's all the same going across. I hope that made sense. There are lots and lots of videos out there on how to join squares. A lot of different ways to join them if you want to try something different. When I made my patchwork quilt blanket, which is one of my favorites, that was a zigzag join. So there is, I do have a video on that. Just keep going. I do like that the purple as the join. I think it looks really pretty. And when I'm all finished joining, I'll meet you and we'll discuss the border. I'll see you then. Okay, I'm on my last horizontal row of joins. I found that if I put it in my lap and worked this way with it, it was easier for me. Still took me a while, partly because this yarn, like I said, kind of grabs onto itself. So I wanted to make sure that the stitches were pretty good size, about the same as these. So I was just kind of slow going. And then when I get to the edges. Sometimes that tripped me up a little bit because these aren't exactly the same as these. But I'll show you just a couple of tricks. So, excuse me. I'm going to come in here in this corner and just bring your slip knot through. Let's bring that tail down. And that chain counts as our first slip stitch. So it's going to be the same thing. You're going to go keep your yarn over here underneath, in front of whatever. Let's go the stitches that are the closest to the middle, and then the one right across from it. And bring your yarn through both of those, and then through the last slip stitch. Keep them really loose. That's the way I liked it. I thought some of them got a little tight and I didn't care for those. I like the ones that are really loose. We're going to be making a border. Don't worry too much about that. On the green side, make sure you catch every stitch. On the almond side, we're actually going to skip a couple of stitches. I did a couple of different ways. I skipped stitches and I put 2 stitches together. It was easier to skip stitches and it doesn't affect the way it looks on the front or the back. All right, make sure it's probably looser than you think it needs to be. If it starts to get too tight, you can take the smaller hook and kind of start pulling it through. Let's see. Oops, sorry about that. So it was not a quick process, but I love the way it's turning out. Really, really happy with it. I went through that stitch last, so let's go in this one. Keep it loose. Because you can see how big these stitches are. I really like that look. I'm going to skip over this stitch. It's kind of a smaller stitch. It won't matter. One little bit. It's not going to show on the front. It's not going to show on the back. And it makes it less bulky than trying to stitch 2 together. See, I'm getting up towards the top. I think we'll have about the same number of stitches. Even if you get right at the top and you find you have too many stitches in the almond color, you can skip over one and make it a little more even. You see how they flat? My camera moved. You see how they flatten? The squares flatten out once you join them. So I didn't steam these, didn't need to. I don't know how much of that the camera missed because I was focused on this. I didn't look at the screen. This is a little different positioning for me. I'm usually at the desk. I have a little more control over it. All right, now I'm almost at the corner here. I found that I wanted to keep these lines on the inside here as straight as I could. Sometimes they curve around, especially on the almond color, but that's okay. And if you have a gap, I found that if I went ahead and came across, sometimes the gap closed itself. If not, I came back and Okay, so I have a little bit of a gap here, but it won't matter when I come across. If I find it's too much of a gap, then I will come back and maybe move over a stitch, but I think it's going to be okay. Now I'm going to pop over here and grab my corner stitch. Make sure you're keeping your working yarn behind you there. This is my corner stitch here. If I only use one stitch, it is going to leave too much of a gap. So I'm actually going to go into 2 stitches there. There's no real right or wrong. You're just going to have to feel for it. I had to go back a few stitches here and there until I felt pretty comfortable. What helped me to see if it was staying in line was these stitches on either side. Like I said, sometimes it's a little more curved, and that's okay. So you're going to keep going, working in those stitches that are closest to the middle again. You'll probably be faster than I am. I wanted to make sure my stitches stayed really loose. So a lot of times I just stop and physically pull on it. So that's how it looks where you cross over. Sometimes it might be a little bit crooked. In that case, I took my smaller hook and just kind of manipulated it around until I liked how it looked. That's the good thing about working with yarn as opposed to sewing. Now, I'm not sure if the camera caught the last part because it had fallen down a little bit. So it looks like I'm going to have too many stitches here. I'm just going to skip right over one. Just don't worry about it. It's going to look just fine. You can't tell, and you can't tell on the back either. I love yarn. This is really soft. If you haven't worked with Bernat blanket yarn before, it's super, super soft. I don't find that it sheds much, just a little bit when I cut it. Cut the end. It might shed off just a little bit. Let's see how close we're getting here. I am going to say I need to skip over another stitch, and that's going to be just fine. If I'm incorrect, I can go back and change it. Okay. I hope that helped you. So I just kept pulling it up, and now I'm on, like I said, I'm on my last row. When you get to the end, just make a chain like you're fastening off. Just pull tight, and we're going to come back across with a border. So if you want to make a border, you don't have to. I think it'll pull the blanket together nicely. So if you want to make a border, come back and see how I'm going to do that one. Okay, this is what it's looking like so far. I mistakenly said it had 6 squares across at some point in the video. It has 5 squares across and 7 squares up. It's somewhere around, I believe it's 47, 48 inches wide at the moment. And I don't remember how long it is. I'll give you that later. So it's looking better, but very similar to my silly sketch that I made ahead of time. That just helps me to plan. Okay, let's work on the border. Okay, we're ready to do the border. I only have 2 rounds in my border. I start with the purple, and the second round will be almond. If you'd like, you could continue on and make another round of the green. You could start again and make another 3 rounds if you like. I'm just going to go with 2 and start in any corner in the space. And in this space, we're going to make 5 extended single crochet. So bring your yarn through. As I said, we're going to start with the purple. Have a little bit of a tail there. I like to bring the tail through the chain. Oops, here's my tail. Bring it on through. That just acts as though you're tying it on. If I were to pull this out, it would stay tied on. So an extended single crochet is just like a single crochet, except you're going to add a chain before you pull through the 2 loops. So you pull through, you have 2 loops, make a chain, and pull through your 2 loops. So that's 1. It makes a taller stitch and a nice thick stitch. This just worked well as a border for me. Extended single crochet. I'm going to drop that tail. 2. These are all worked in that same chain space. 3. 4. And 5. Getting really crowded in there. Okay, there's our corner. Every corner will have 5 extended single crochet. And now every stitch is going to get an extended single crochet. Pull that over, start in that first stitch, and you're just going to continue on with extended single crochet. When you get to your join, let me show you. You work the stitch before with an extended single crochet, and then whatever stitch is right before here, it's probably going to be just a back loop. And over here, each one of those will get an extended single crochet, and then you start in your regular stitches again all the way down. When you get to the corner, every corner is going to get 5 extended single crochet. So I'll meet you when you get back around to the beginning. All right, I'm back to my original corner. I already cut my yarn because I had started this and I had to redo the video, as happens quite often. I changed my mind on what I was going to do. Okay, so we're going to join up in that first stitch, but we're going to pull through with our almond color. Pull through there. Make yourself a chain. That's just simply to tie this on. Oops, this part's the tail. Pull that back. Okay. Ugh, that noise you hear is a handle, or the pull on the drawer of the desk. I keep hitting it. All right, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's my first one right there. These are all going to be back post single crochet. So come around, push that stitch to the back, come around the other side, grab your yarn, bring it through the front, nice and loose though, because you want that to show. Yarn over and pull through 2. It's just a regular single crochet. All of the stitches will be the same. Come to the front with your hook, push that stitch to the back, grab your yarn, Bring it back through. Bring it all the way through. You have your 2 loops. Keep it kind of loose. Pull through 2. I want that to show. It looks, to me, it looks a lot like a ribbon running through it. This is the same border as the blanket that I was using to work on here. And it reminded me how much I like the border, so I decided to make it for this. I just wanted a simple border to pull all the squares together. So every single stitch is going to be pushed to the back or a back post, single crochet. That's all there is to it. Keep going. I'll meet you when we get back to the beginning. Oops. In case you get confused as to where your stitches are going down the line here, you're going to come under those 2, reach around, push that back, go under those 2 loops, pull this through, and make your nice loose single crochet so that can pop back through. And again, you're going to go in here and under these next 2 loops. Pull it through, complete. Let's do that one more time. Go in here, go in here, pull that through, nice and loose. It wants to tighten up right there. You can also come through later if you want to even out some of these. Some of them get a little tight or a little loose. Come back in again with your smaller hook and just manipulate it, work it to make it look however you want. Okay, again, I'll meet you back when we reach that first corner. All right, I'm back to the beginning. Just made my last stitch here. I'm going to come into this first stitch with a slip stitch, and we're going to do an invisible join. Get my scissors, myself a little bit of a tail, pull that through, hold on to the loop. You know where that yarn is coming through, right there. We're going to skip this stitch, go under this stitch, bring the yarn through. Again, you can do this with a needle if you prefer. That's where my yarn is coming from. I want to go in just that single loop, bring this through, hold on to your loop there. There. You have simply replaced a loop with another loop. And just come around the back, pull it through a few times. If you want to tie a knot with this one and then just tuck it in, that would work. You have just a few ends to weave in, very few, at the end of each row, where you had your joins at the end of each row. You need to weave those in, and I'll meet you back here in just a minute. I'm going to go measure it. All right, I'm finished. I wanted to show you, well, I haven't been in my ends yet. This is what the back of the border looks like. This is what the back of the join stitches looks like. Really, really cute. That's what it looks like on the almond. And the blanket ended up being a little less wide than I originally thought. It's about 45 inches wide and 62 inches long. It took about 2 skeins of the almond, about 2.5, maybe 2 3/4 skeins of the purple. That's showing up as a really bright purple. It's not that bright. It's a little duskier looking. Let me see if I can get it. No. Let's see if I show it further away. No, it's just the lighting in here. It is not this dark of a purple. I wish I could get the color better for you. It also took a little less than 4 skeins of the green. So if you make it, let me know. If you have any issues, let me know. Trying to get it up here so I can photograph it. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, my patterns are always free. And on my website, the written patterns are free and there are no ads. It's www.i-crochet.com. Thanks for watching. I really like this blanket. It reminds me of a quilt. I don't normally go for purple, but I love this shade and I love it with the green. The blanket's nice and long and perfect for when you would just want to read a book or watch TV. Enjoy!